Ben Hagel was only 6 years old when he started playing wheelchair basketball. I met him 10 years later to write a story about him as he was headed to the 2015 Canada Winter Games in Prince George. The grade 10 Chilliwack secondary student had been attending a wheelchair basketball academy in Toronto for the previous 2 years. British Columbia placed near the bottom of the country that year, but it set up the young, shy Chilliwack man to return years later as a confident leader, winning gold with his BC team as he aged out of the junior division. Ben has also achieved his dream of representing Canada internationally and is currently working toward playing in the Paralympic Games. Now, almost a decade after we met, we talk about how Ben continues to grow as an athlete on the court and hear about who he has become as a person off court. I'm Greg Lachek, and this is Revisited, a visual podcast about reconnection. Each episode, I interview people I'd written about as a reporter almost 10 years ago. We talk about what they've been up to in the last decade, how it relates to when we met, and what direction they're pointed toward moving forward. For a bit of fun along the way, we create a photography project together, capturing a snapshot of us now that will live into the future. Today, Ben Hagel. Good to see you again, Ben. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you.
Back when we met, you were preparing for the Canada Winter Games. You were in grade 10, 16 years old. Tell me a bit about who you were at that time.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's been a long, long time. And I feel that the person I was 8 years ago is not the person I am today. I was a quiet and shy kid, and really coming into the world of high-level wheelchair basketball and not really knowing what it entailed. So that's where the journey began, was 2015.
How old were you when you started playing basketball?
I was 6 years old.
6, okay. Yeah. And I think we have evidence of that right there. Is that the jersey you were in at 6?
That's my very first jersey. And so to be able to hold on to that memory and have it hanging in my closet is pretty special.
What got you into basketball in the first place?
The main thing that got me into it was there was an opportunity to go to a week-long wheelchair sports camp or adaptive sports camp. And there was 2 days at the end of that camp dedicated to wheelchair basketball. Kind of as soon as I got into one of those chairs and started wheeling around, there was just an immense sense of freedom. And I just, fell in love with the sport right then and there and kind of haven't looked back.
You've mentioned that it's been a really long journey so far from when you were 6 till now. Take us through that timeline a bit in terms of the different competitions you've been through. And so we could start with the Prince George Winter Games that I first met you to write the story about.
My first Canada Games in Prince George was a big tournament. It's the first time representing BC on the big stage, let's say, the Canada stage. And first and foremost, it was an amazing experience just to have lots of fans in the stands and everybody cheering us on because we were the home team to root for. And so just the immense sense of pride we all had putting on the BC jersey and to play hard games against other provinces. It was, an experience I'm not going to forget anytime soon. Yeah.
And how did that tournament go for you?
It went okay. I think we, as a team, weren't expected to medal. We were quite a young team, and we have been for a lot of the tournaments. And so, obviously we all want to win every game, but that's not realistic in what we had. But yeah, we were all very, very positive and just wanting to play hard for each other. Back in 2017, I had my first selection for the Canada junior team, and to be able to play that in Toronto on home turf. And, like Canada Games, it was my first big experience with another team and with Team Canada. And so to be able to play against a lot of different countries with quite literally the best junior players in the world was another big eye-opening thing because up until that point, I hadn't really played that many games against that many other countries or kind of seen how, maybe different playing styles of wheelchair basketball factor into a game. And so it became a lot more technical, and all the information that was spewed at us as athletes coming into the program for the first time was a little overwhelming, of course, because we weren't used to playing at that level yet. Being able to represent Canada at a very young age, is quite intimidating for a lot of people that have gone before me in different sports. And so, it was just quite an eye-opening experience to now be playing in front of bigger crowds and to wear the maple leaf on your chest.
So then off the court, what was happening after that?
Fun fact that I'll just add here was in 2017, during the World Championships is the time that I'd be graduating high school. So wheeling across the stage and accepting my high school diploma, and had to miss that for basketball. So, at that point, basketball had been kind of the plan and the lifestyle I wanted to follow. I moved out to Victoria, and it was my first time moving away from home and living on my own. And the reason I did that is because my provincial coach Simon lived out on the island, and it just gave me a better opportunity to train at a higher level.
We come to Team BC again, Canada Games, Red Deer. Tell us a bit about that. What was different this time?
Mostly our team was the same athletes, or the same people that we'd been training with and playing against in BC. But this time for me, my role had changed. Back in 2015, I was one of the lowest on the bench, coming in for maybe 15-20 minutes a game, and just not a huge responsibility out there just for me to experience. So now in 2019, after playing for BC for a couple of years, and being one of the older guys, and with my Team Canada experience, I was co-captain on the team. And with that comes a lot more responsibility. Your teammates look to you for guidance if things go wrong, and you're also meant to be a little bit more of a leader, and that means to be more outspoken, and you're able to push the team to the level that you want the team to be at. I was out there for pretty much the entire game, for the full 40 minutes, and also handling the ball a lot more. I was able to see the game a little bit at a higher level. So to be able to be a part of the action on the floor rather than just on the bench, that was a huge thing, and something that I was willing to take on and wanted to excel at.
So 2020, the pandemic hits. What did that do to your life, your career as a basketball player?
Yeah, obviously it threw everybody for a loop, but for people in my situation, playing a high-level sport and just the demands of that, being in a gym or needing to train and to have all these facilities shut down, it made it more challenging. And so I was still living out in Victoria at this time, and one of the ways that my coach Simon and I worked around it was there was an outdoor track at our facility, and so I was able to do some track workouts to keep my cardio up and to keep me in shape. And then at home, when I would go home, I would always have a ball in my hands, and either doing some ball taps or some shadow shooting, and just making sure that when I get back onto the court, a lot of those skills haven't depleted, even though we're not able to practice in the traditional sense. So in 2020, all of our junior Canada team knew that at the end of the year, we could be going to Thailand. And so because of the pandemic, that time came and went, and pretty quickly they said that we're going to be pushed back a year. And so we had another year to train, and by this point there were regulations had eased up a little bit, and so we were able to do some sort of training, whether it was individual or in a smaller team sense, so like 2 or 3 of us per court, wearing masks in the gym. That was a big thing with all their chair skills workouts and our cardio workouts. To wear a mask and not being able to breathe was something I hope doesn't happen again, because that was tough. But we got really in shape because of that. We were able to get a couple good months of training together with the team, and this was my second Junior World Championships. And so me being one of the older and more experienced guys, we had a lot of guys who had never represented Canada before. And so like myself in 2017, they were coming at it with fresh eyes and really just wanting to embrace the experience. And now for me to be one of the guys to kind of lead them through that. it made for a really cool experience to be more in that leadership role. At this point, I'd been part of the junior team for a little bit, and so I was pretty secure in who I was as a athlete, and then also as a person. I'd traveled a lot over the world and kind of built my independence and living away from home and kind of making a life for myself. Yeah, it was evident in the way that I presented myself on and off the court.
Team BC, Charlottetown 2023. This is your last tournament with Team BC juniors, right? What was the setup for that? Because the Team BC hadn't performed as well in the last tournaments you were in. What were you expecting from it? What were your goals, and then what happened?
Yeah, so really in my decade now being a part of Team BC, we'd never been in a position to win a medal. But this year was definitely a little special because we had a lot of the same returning players, and so I think there was 8 of us that were returning and have been playing together for years. And so to now really be secure in kind of our playing style and what each other likes to do on the court, just like that team cohesiveness was at an all-time high, and something that any team that I've been on so far hadn't really been that secure in. And so to now come into PEI in 2023 was super special, because I knew deep down that this team was the team to do it. We just needed to prove ourselves and go out there and play Team BC basketball. All of us, 1 through 12, plus the coaching staff, we expected to win. We went in there and went undefeated, and the margins of games were quite high, and so we were winning by quite a lot. And it's just exciting to see, after all those years of being kind of a middle of the road team, to now we're just beating teams and playing our way and having fun with it as well. And so then we came out on top with a gold medal, and my first gold medal for Team BC and my last tournament for Team BC. Yeah.
So it was a great way to leave that organization.
Thing on top of that is that BC as a program for wheelchair basketball has never won a gold medal before, and so to win our first gold medal as a program was icing on the cake. Really, it was super special, and to be able to do it with my friends and my family in the stands as well, and just a whole BC cheering section was super special.
What's up for you now? You're taking a break from post-secondary, is that right?
Yeah, so right now 2024 is an important year. It's a Paralympic year, and so this past calendar year I've just taken a break from school to solely focus on basketball, because I have a real shot of making the Paralympic team, and that's this upcoming summer. And so if you would have talked to me last year, it would have been way far in the distance and I wouldn't really be focused on it. Team Canada hasn't qualified yet. Coming up in April, we have our last chance qualifier, and it's a 10-team tournament, and the top 4 get to go. And realistically, we're competitive with 7 of those teams, and that means 3 good teams don't get to go. I mean, I'm excited, because being one of those guys that you take 12 on the team, and to be one of those guys that might not necessarily have a spot, I need to be as perfect as I can each and every day, and to compete and to play hard, because my spot isn't guaranteed. But I think that just drives my competitiveness and makes me excited to go to practice every day, because I want to compete. I want to play hard and to ultimately make my Paralympic dream come true.
That's amazing. What drives you to play? What keeps you going in this sport?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is that now representing Team Canada, it's just a huge honor. I think I can't really describe the feeling when I put on a jersey. I'm overwhelmed with the sense of pride and the sense of joy when I'm playing for Team Canada, and knowing that I have so many people that are cheering me on every step of the way, whether that's coaches, teammates, my parents, my friends, everyone else that's kind of helped me along in this athletic journey. I know that I'm not only representing my country, but I'm representing them. And so I think that drives me to want to make them proud. I also have a lot of fun with wheelchair basketball. I think the time I stop having fun with wheelchair basketball is the time that I'm gonna not play it anymore. And I haven't even thought about that. That's way, way, way in the future because I love what I do.
Tell us a bit about what you already do for mentorship and maybe any plans, any hopes with that.
Yeah, one thing that's cool about, even though I'm not super old yet, I'm able to mentor some local BC athletes. And so one of the guys, Keaton McEachern, he's kind of on the same journey that I was, 8 years ago, where he's now being a part of the Team BC junior team and starting to get chances with the Team Canada junior team as well, just to share what I know and the little knowledge that I have to kind of help him out, whether it comes to how to prepare for games or just kind of how to navigate travel. That's a big thing. He was on our Canada Games team in 2023 that won gold, and so to be able to be teammates and good friends with him too, I think we share a pretty special bond. And I mean, it's exciting to see that he's not so far behind, and he wants to do the same thing that I'm experiencing. And so to be able to go on that journey together is super special.
And tell us a bit about what you do in your free time. You're a freelance photographer, is that right?
Yeah. About 6 years ago, I picked up my very first camera, and one of my good friends, Zach, he was a big mentor in that. And really my initial goal was, it's just a hobby. I kind of dove headfirst into some freelance stuff in 2019 or 2020. Kind of, put my mark on the BC photography space is pretty cool.
So what's next for you, Ben?
With wheelchair basketball, it's really cool because there are opportunities elsewhere. Right now I'm in Toronto, and that's kind of the main place to be if you want to play high performance wheelchair basketball in Canada. But there's also opportunities for me to go down to the States, and they have wheelchair basketball teams associated with universities, quite like it is college basketball, but college wheelchair basketball. And so that's an avenue that I've yet to explore, but I want to. Another opportunity is to go across to Europe. They have professional wheelchair basketball leagues there and club teams, and to be able to play for a contract and kind of dive into the world of professional wheelchair basketball would be really cool. And so this past season or this past summer, I was talking to a few teams and just kind of putting my name out there. And there's teams in Germany and Spain and Italy, in France, kind of all over Europe that people from all over the world come to and to play high-level wheelchair basketball, which I could see myself doing for a long time, being over there. And Europe is, in general, you can't really go wrong.
That'd be an incredible experience.
Yeah.
What's the longevity of a wheelchair basketball career compared to a stand-up player?
It's, I think, a little bit longer. We are co-captains right now, or both in their early 40s. And so, I'm 24. That means I've at least got, if I want to, another 16 years or so to keep playing. And, as long as I keep my body right and my mind right, we've got the resources to do that. And so as long as I'm diligent with that and want to keep putting basketballs and hoops, that can be the dream for a long, long time.
Well, thanks so much, Ben, for taking the time to talk. We'll catch up again when you're back in Toronto to talk about the photography co-creation.
Thanks for having me, Greg. It's been great to be a part of this project.
It's been fun to reconnect. Thanks, Ben, for taking the time to come back and chat.
For sure.
We're going to talk about the photo project now. We had talked about a couple of different ideas, and one that I really liked that we didn't end up doing was distressing negatives, like either by you running over them with your wheelchair or dribbling the basketball on them. And I feel like that could have had some really cool effects. Just didn't really go in as much with the theme in the end. At one point, I had toyed with the thought of having you do some photography and then using that somehow. But again, it was just logistics, kind of time and everything. So, and you're busy, just preparing for your dream. So
Yeah.
So there's that, yeah. The one that we went with was that I took pictures of you today in the gym that matched up with older pictures you'd given me from previous tournaments. And I took those into Photoshop, lined them up. I printed them on this transparency paper, and then I put glass between them. I started with 3mm glass, and then I stacked another one on there, and that distance really created a three-dimensional effect. You can see younger Ben through now Ben's face, right? So through your face now. Depending on where you looked or where you are positioned, you can see sort of different, almost hybrid versions of you. So for viewers and listeners, it's a shame because we're half of Canada apart here, but that you aren't actually able to see them in person because that effect is hard to replicate on screen. So I had to send you those photos and couldn't quite capture it on video the way I wanted to. But you got them. So I'd love to hear your opinion, if you could see what I was talking about or... Yeah.
Totally. I mean, definitely looking at the photos, it completely embodies my journey as an athlete and as a person. With the first photos being taken 6, 7, 8 years ago, and now having the updated photos and kind of where I am now in my athletic journey on top of them, and then just being able to see the shift in the person that I've become with how you rotate the image. And I think it's just a really creative way to show the story or the, I guess, let's say like the coming of age story in sport. So yeah, I'm very impressed with all of that and how your creative mind came together and put that together. So yeah, I'm very happy with the end result.
Well, thanks for being a big part of that. Another thing that I was thinking about, I couldn't help but think about, was how, this is all happening because of our relationship. And that is almost a slice of time for you. You've obviously been living your dream every day. And it's one of those things where it's almost harder to notice change when it's when you're there and it's incremental. But for me, it's, we met that many years ago. I saw you as that person, and now here's this other layer. For me, it's very much two pieces. Obviously, that photo project doesn't include the gradient of days and weeks and months in between, but that stark contrast between times really is impactful for me. For
sure. And I think the end result really showed that. And yeah, it's really cool to look back on. There's the same person, but two completely different people. And yeah, it's just very, very cool to be a part of that.
Do you ever take time to reflect on yourself at that point in life?
Yeah, I think I do. I had different goals back then that I do now, and because it's cool to look back and see that I've accomplished a lot of those goals leading up to now, and right now I have new goals with the not so far away one being to qualify for Paris and to make the Paralympic team for basketball. And so yeah, it's definitely cool to see the mindset shift and the places that I've grown and the places that I still need to grow. And this is definitely a good visualization of that.
Well, I hope that you can think of other projects we could work on, because you're a photographer as well.
Yeah, no, one thing that I need to start doing, and because I have all the resources to do so, is to start creating more basketball content. And this kind of experience in this project with you has definitely got my creative juices flowing in the more basketball world rather than, outside and taking photos of other people, taking photos of me and like the journey that I'm on with basketball. So no, it's really, it's kind of kickstarted a little spark in my brain to make more basketball content. So it's exciting.
Oh man, well, it's been an honor to do this with you again. Like, really, thanks so much, Ben. And
no, I appreciate just you reaching out to me. I'm very
excited and honored to be a part of the project and just to see the photos that you sent me yesterday.
I'm not going to
Very
keep you any
cool.
longer. You got lots going on. So,
Yeah, I've got a pretty busy next couple months.
all right. Thanks, Ben. Good luck.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. See you, Greg.
That's it for this episode of Revisited. Thank you for joining, and please be sure to check out more.